Today on Green Country People and Places.
That's the Saraphagonex maximus.
That is huge.
It's the largest in the world.
I kept looking at the book and thinking, you know, this will be something that's unique and different.
We saved this theater from the wrecking ball. It is the grandest, most opulent theater in a town this size in all of America.
Oklahoma's Green Country. It's full of unique places and interesting people. So you milk a goat as opposed to a cow.
Give me your wallet.
So come along with us and enjoy the ride. Now there is a smiling face. We are at the Sam Noble Museum in Norman, Oklahoma, and Jen, you're going to be our guide today.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having us. And this is a really cool place, isn't it?
It is a very cool place. It's a very great place to be.
And it is about what? What is the museum about?
Oklahoma's natural history. We showcase anything from the ancient life, where we may have had dinosaurs and mammoths roaming around, to the people and the cultures of Oklahoma, both past and present. We also have Oklahoma's natural landscapes on display and many other hands-on activities.
So who's our friend up here?
Well, this is the Saraphosaurus patellus.
Oh, that's an easy name to remember.
And it's the world's longest dinosaur. It was found here in Oklahoma in 1994.
Oklahoma.
It was, yeah. Now this is the orientation gallery, and this is the opportunity for families and people to explore the behind the scenes of a museum and the collections and the research and the scientists and perhaps what they do in the field and how they collect specimens and preserve them.
Yeah, because these just don't show up.
No, not at all.
Went fishing. Went fishing.
This is a very dark and very weird area. Where are we now?
We're in the Hall of Ancient Life, and this starts off about 300 million years ago in Oklahoma. So what you're looking at right now are maybe some of the odd creatures that may have been roaming Oklahoma when we were underwater.
Wow, so I know trilobites, I'm good with that. And
That's about all you'll need to know. You can learn the rest here.
I want to use the term dioramas, am I correct?
That is true, yes. These are dioramas. They were created by Terry Chase and his team, and many of the people on staff here at the museum as well, to ensure accuracy. And when you go from the era when Oklahoma was underwater and then you shift to the coal swamp forest, you'll see a change in the scenery, obviously, as the water recedes, but it's incredible, the growth and the greenery.
It's like being in a living zoo without the zoo animals, but you've got the greenery and all the neat stuff. Whoa, and those guys.
And we have a lot of creatures.
I didn't even notice that.
Some of the different dioramas you'll notice will move a little bit. We've got some working mechanisms in there.
You're literally building things that have been gone for millions of years, plants and animals included, right?
You bet. Well, we tried to think, how can we best display this information and showcase, how Oklahoma was so long ago? And the best way for a lot of people is visual.
We have upped the ante in this room, haven't we?
We sure have.
Now, who's this on the left?
You've got the Oklahoma State fossil. That's the Saraphagonex maximus.
Wow.
And he is the meat eater, I guess you could say.
Is he like a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
He's got some
not
similarities.
one. Yeah.
He's not, yes, that's correct.
He's huge. And then talk about huge. Right next to him is what?
Right next to him is the world's largest Apatosaurus. And it was also found here in Oklahoma.
So this, not just the world's largest being an Apatosaurus, it is the world's largest Apatosaurus skeleton found.
Yes, that's correct. This is the Clash of the Titans exhibit. And so what you'll find is the mighty Apatosaurus protecting its young baby Apatosaurus, and this is also the world's smallest Apatosaurus found in Oklahoma.
Man.
And he's protecting his little baby against, the fierce Jurassic Seraphaganax.
That is, I don't have words for that. I don't have a lot of words to begin with, but I don't have words to explain this. This is really cool. You're standing underneath all of this, and these things walk the earth.
They did walk the earth, and usually when people come in here, you hear a lot of the kids say, "Whoa, cool, awesome, look at that." So those are usually the words that
I'm
are
gonna
used.
have to use those later. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Them bones gonna walk around. Them bones gonna walk around. Them bones gonna walk around. Now hear the word of the Lord.
So you're trying to kind of show what life was like back then?
A little bit, yeah. We've got, as when we go into the Cretaceous period from the Jurassic and you're seeing a change in the mammals and the animals there, we want to showcase how they adapted to their environments and perhaps some of the things that they may have encountered.
So that's kind of cool with all of the death and grisliness and disaster and killing.
This is the dark side. This is the Grim Reaper.
This is special, right?
This is very special. This is our Pentaceratops. It was found in New Mexico, and it just so happens to be a Guinness World Record holding skull at 10.5 feet.
That is huge.
It's the largest in the world.
That is gigantic.
Yes.
And you're right here, it makes a big impact.
It's quite intimidating.
Now, bones are heavy, and you were going to explain a little bit about that, right?
Castings are far less weight, and so what they may do is there are times when an actual specimen or fossil can be used, such as in this exhibit, you can see a few of the specimens that are actually used versus the castings, and they're the ones that may have the tattooed numbers
On the leg.
portions of it on the legs.
So if this was all the fossil, it would weigh thousands of pounds.
Way too heavy. It would,
And then the floor would crush and it would fall down on us. That wouldn't be good.
we'd have a slight disaster.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope.
We're not in dinosaur land anymore, right?
We're not. We're in Oklahoma's current landscapes. And this is the mixed grass prairie that you can find in a portion of Oklahoma.
And why do you have this area?
Being the Natural History Museum, we want to showcase not only what you can find culturally, artifacts and such, but the landscapes in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma has 11 different ecoregions. We're one of the most versatile states. And right here we have a variety of the different areas you can find in Oklahoma without having to travel across the state.
And you've got the indigenous animals here. I see antelope, a gopher, moles,
Hawks, snakes.
Yeah. Oh, a badger? I didn't know we had badgers. Tarantulas, snakes. Oh, man.
You could sit here and look at this for hours and constantly find new things in the diorama. Butterflies you may not have noticed originally.
Birdies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It never stops, does it? You guys are always working too, right?
We are always working. We're in the collections department of the Sam Noble Museum, and this is where our curators, our volunteers, our researchers, everybody comes together, and they're constantly discovering something new and working on many different things.
You have a collection that is so huge. Most of it's behind the scenes, right?
We have over 10 million specimens and artifacts and objects.
Whoa. And so each little thing has to be documented, cleaned, worked on.
Labeled, everything. And
Wow.
it's so important to talk about the collections because it's vital to not only the research at the University of Oklahoma, but the research in Oklahoma. Our curators and our scientists are constantly going out in the field all over the world to do research and bring it back to Oklahoma.
Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn.
We are in one of Tulsa's cooler houses. It's actually an old incinerator. And the artist who lives here is Ron Fleming. And we're going to look at some of your work in a minute, Ron. But tell us a little bit about how you wound up in an incinerator.
Well, we were down here doing a shoot for a company, and the old building looked real interesting, so I decided, I'd make a neat house.
And what were you in for when you first started working on this?
Oh man, we dug the ashes at the bottom for a year.
So this was Tulsa's incinerator.
Yeah, they burned trash out here for 1 year.
Well, you are a wood turner, and for people who don't know, a wood turner is someone who uses a machine to spin the wood, and then you use tools to shape it. But you've taken it a whole lot further than that, and we have your work all around us right now. How'd you get started into wood turning?
A friend of mine up in Washington State was a potter. In fact, these pots here are some of her work. And she wanted me to throw clay, and I tried, and I just kept getting lumps.
Yeah.
And then she gave me a book on some wood turners. I kept looking at the book and thinking, you know, that'd be a good source for me to work on to carve, because I've always carved. But I thought, well, this will be something that's unique and different. No other wood turner had done it.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn.
This is one of your classic shapes down here, correct? With the leaves coming out of the top?
Right.
And like you said, when you started this, people were just making bowls and hollow vessels. They saw what you were doing, it's kind of like, whoa, look out.
Yeah, I kind of started a revolution in carving.
So you've been pushing the limits on your art, haven't you? I mean, you're changing up and doing different things, mixed mediums now, right?
I've been experimenting with these different chemicals and patinas and whatnot, and that's where I'm getting more into color now.
So you got kind of smart, because this takes hundreds of hours to do. So you actually started casting?
Yes, we made a 3-piece rubber mold, made of wax, and then took that wax and made another mold, and then steamed the wax out, and then we put it in a kiln and fill it full of lead crystal. That's 48% lead crystal.
Wow, what do you call what's the title to this one?
Dragon Dance.
It makes a lot of sense. Why do this over and over and over in wood when you can cast it and then have it forever? And
There's another one in the dining room. It's in amber, and then that one on the coffee table is bronze. The process to go from here to here is about a month. It's in the kiln for about 2 weeks. It melts it for a week, and then they cool it for a week.
Well, not to be too personal, but how much does something like that cost then to,
This cost me $15,000.
Wow.
So if I take that and put it in a gallery and they double it, that's $30,000, and I haven't made a thing. Shipping it is $1,500.
Art's not an easy thing, is it?
That's why they call us poor starving artists.
Wooden ships on the water, very free and easy. You know the way it's supposed to be.
So you're carving wildlife now?
Well, not really. This little guy fell in one of my bowls and couldn't get out. And
Oh, no.
He just kind of petrified. So I took him up, set him up here, and I thought, well, he needs a place to sit in the sun.
It works well, because this looks like a giant cactus flower. or
Yeah, so I think I'm going to cast him in sterling silver, make him a permanent addition.
Now, you also are branching out. You've always been a photographer, but now you're starting to do some computer work of some photographs you took while you were in Africa.
This was one I shot at a water hole at midnight, and that's a painting that's done in the computer from the photograph.
So, where's your shop?
Shop's over here down the stairs.
Speaking of stairs, what's up there?
That's my tree house. That's where I live and play. And,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see the sunlight coming through. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like you're in a tree house with all these trees and things growing, so.
For people who don't know what turning is, explain the lathe and what you do with it.
Well, this lathe is a little unique because of its size, because I turn large pieces, but I got a small one. But what it does is it turns the wood, and while the wood's spinning, then you cut it.
So instead of a saw blade moving and pushing wood through, you put the blade up to the spinning wood.
That's right. And you have to shape it. You have to shape it and get it to the shape you want, and then you got to get inside and hollow it.
You're stepping up your game over here, aren't you?
I'm stepping it up. We've done one that weighed over a ton when we put it on the lathe,
Holy cow.
and these probably weighed 600-700 pounds, maybe more than that.
That's amazing. And you're doing these for large spaces, right? Almost architectural looks.
Like a lobby to a corporation or something, just for decoration.
Now this is wood. You painted it, you said, because the wood had too much grain, or?
I wanted to show the design, and when it was in wood, you couldn't see the design because it was too spalted.
Right. And people probably don't realize too, you're an excellent airbrush artist and a graphic artist, and so you apply all those skills to these things. Now when you're attacking something like this, how do you get rid of some of the wood?
Well, first thing I got to do is lay it out. In this particular piece, there were a lot of bad flaws in it. So I had to work the design around the flaws, and that's the reason it looks the way it looks.
So then what you do is just go through the hole again and keep working the shape out?
Just keep working the shape out, and I try not to cut right on the line, because if you do, you're going to end up with cut marks in the back of your leaves.
Now this is 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches thick at points. So you're doing a lot of grinding with tools and hand carving and everything else to get it to what that one over there is like, which is what, that thick?
Yeah.
Holy cow. So again, hundreds of hours into the process.
Yeah, right now I've got 4 months in that piece.
Well, thank you for having us today. I appreciate it. And keep your eye out. Maybe when you're walking your bank lobby, you're going to see something like this.
I certainly hope so.
Wooden ships on the water, very free and easy. You know the way it's supposed to be. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
We are at one of my favorite places, the Coleman Theater in Miami, Oklahoma. And you talk about opulent, this is the place. And Barbara Smith is with us, the executive director.
Good morning, Tim.
It's good to see you again.
Yes.
We did a great documentary a few years ago, and it's great to visit again to show you all what's happened and changed here. But first off, can you give us the cliff notes on what the Coleman Theater is?
Well, it is the most beautiful historic theater in the state of Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, the state legislature just declared us the premier vaudeville theater, historical theater of the state of Oklahoma. Cool. It was effective last November, and so we have that new prestigious honor. We've won all kinds of awards. We saved this theater from the wrecking ball. They used to have opulent theaters like this in Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and there are still some great theaters in Oklahoma. They're all valuable to their communities, but this is certainly the grandest, most opulent. And in fact, it is the grandest, most opulent theater in a town this size in all of America.
Can you describe a little bit what we're looking at?
Well, this is a Versailles, kind of Louis XIV, 15th interior, although the exterior is Spanish, and that's because George Coleman, who was a water well digger, discovered lead and zinc and became a multimillionaire, liked the inside, but he made the architects change the outside to Spanish, and he wrote the checks, so he made the rules.
Exactly. You got the money, you can be as eclectic as you want.
He loved theater. He wanted to bring vaudeville to his workers who made him so wealthy, and so he built this grand theater in 330 days.
Now, when you started the restoration, this place was in bad shape. I mean, even the carpet?
The carpet was stripped out in 1948.
And this is all special, though, because it has his, what's CT?
That is the Coleman family crest. They were Kohlmann from Germany, and they Americanized their names. The CT is Coleman Theater. We had a little piece of it left, and getting a carpet company to weave a carpet nobody would ever buy but us was not an easy task. But they had taken out the original seats. There were holes in the roof. Plaster had fallen off. Water was running down the walls. But we were still open, and there'd be 7 or 8 people here to see a movie and sit under the balcony if it were raining, so they wouldn't get wet. So You know, but we saw the beauty of this place. The bones were here. There was no gold leaf, no crystal. Everything in this lobby was stripped. The walls were bare, the carpet was gone. There was linoleum tile upstairs, no furniture, and the seats had been modernized and had springs sticking up. The mighty Wurlitzer organ was gone. The 2,000-pound chandelier that hangs inside, all that was gone. It's all been restored, so it looks very much like it did on April the 18th, 1929, when people first walked in this palace.
You know, you can see this on video and it looks spectacular, but in person, the theater is amazing.
There's really no way to describe it, even with pictures, until you come and experience it. Because theater is to be experienced, you know, that's what theater is really all about. So, and this one is certainly one to be experienced. People walk in, their jaws just drop. We've had people from 28 countries here and every state in the Union. Of course, Route 66 is right at our front door, so the tourism business is really big for us.
You can tell by the lines I'm reciting. I've seen that movie too.
This woman is a force to be dealt with, by the way. Be on her side. You're a bulldog underneath this sweet exterior. Out here, all these seats that we see, you came up with the idea of adopt a seat, right? And what did the pros tell you, the experts?
Well, a lot of
tell you?
theaters do that, and the company that made our original seats made these. They've been in business 100 years, and they said, "Oh, Barbara, you sweet little thing, you'll adopt 30 or 40, but no theater ever is successful in adopting enough to pay for their seats." Well, look out there, every seat has a plaque on it downstairs. So they wrote us up in a national magazine because of our great success. But it's all of our volunteers out there working, people who have had their marriage proposals and first dates, and it's important to them.
Right.
And then we got a grant for seats in the balcony, and we're starting to adopt those now. And reading the seats is just so much fun. It's just a history of yesterday, and it's today, and it's the future too, because kids have their names, people get married here.
That is neat.
It's fun.
And again, with the history thing, you've preserved so much stuff.
Yes.
This is one of the original backdrops from when?
From the grand opening night, painted by Great Western Scenery Company in 1928. It's unretouched. We didn't know it was there. When we fixed the fly system and brought it down, we just almost sobbed because there it was in all its glory. It wasn't leaking up there.
And people don't realize too, there is an immense amount of above us.
It's 60 feet up where we suspend the curtains and all of the scenery, and it can fly right up. We call it the fly system. And sometimes we'll say, let us show you the ropes, because that's how everything goes up and down.
Oh, I like that. And over here you have a very special project that I don't know how you pulled this off. This is the original organ that was here in the beginning, right?
Yes, and actually it was created for this theater at the instruction of Mr. Coleman. So it was built in 1928 for the Coleman Theater. Still had our name on it. It was in terrible shape, and it was sold twice. And we finally located it with an organ collector in Burleson, Texas, and persuaded him to bring it back and restore it, and he still works on it. He's getting up in his late 70s, but he won't let anybody else work on it. So,
So this actually works?
Oh, it does, and it's got lots of instruments, and it's incredible. And we have an amazing house organist it's Dennis James. He's world famous. He lives in New York, and he plays all over the world. So he comes 3 times a year. Our investment in this organ has continued, and we just added recently 6 new instruments. Today it is the equivalent of an organ that has been valued at $1 million.
So now we're up in the balcony, and this is pretty incredible. You filled all the seats up, but sometimes you're not alone up here, are you?
We never really feel alone in the theater, and actually we never feel afraid in the theater. And you know, I'm a theater person. All good theaters have spirits. And they're not ghosts, they're spirits.
Spirits.
Yes. And you leave a little bit of yourself, you know. And we've had some experiences smelling some bay rum aftershave we've never been able to find anywhere that supposedly a Mr. Roberts used to wear, and a little whiff of Mr. Coleman's cigar smoke maybe. And they have learned to like us. They used to kind of frighten us, but they feel very welcome. We feel welcome because it's so beautiful. They have their theater back. It's just like they're satisfied. Their theater's here, and when we leave, it becomes theirs, I suppose.
You don't just have it open for shows. You do give tours all the time. I mean, this is on a regular route for a lot of places.
We are open Tuesday through Saturday, and we do tours all the time. And you know, people hear the stories and so on, but when they hear the story of what this community did, it's really special.
That's neat. And talking about special, it's really hard to not pick out special things on this place, but the chandelier is incredible, and you got to tell me the story on how you got this back to where it is.
Well, we knew that it was there, and I got tired of hearing about it, because I thought, what's the big deal about a chandelier? Well, they found
So it wasn't here at the time?
It wasn't here.
Okay.
It was taken down in '57. It was about to fall. We put it back in 2004. We found just the metal pieces in the horse stable on the Coleman property. No glass, no crystal, nothing. And it took us several years to find a company that, it was made in Italy, and that company wasn't there. So we had to find somebody that could do the acid slumped glass, and we had to get all the Belgian crystals, and it cost a lot of money because it's very large, larger than it looks in perspective, and it has 256 light bulbs, and we have to clean it every couple of years and change all the light bulbs. And now we're looking at what are we going to do when incandescent is no longer available. But this July it's due again. So we have a few kind of going out, but it turns red and blue and yellow, and it's just spectacular.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.